39 of them. And we are underway at the O-Dome. Auburn in the road blue wins the tip, and Florida in the home white. Laura Morris, Meadow Overstreet, and Natasha Cammey, the officials for this afternoon's game. Kiki Smith with the steal and the score to put Florida on the board first. Smith and Briggs, high-scoring duo in the backcourt for Florida, with Moore, Ricards, and Faith Dude anchoring the front court for head coach Cam Neubauer. Levy's shot no good, and here comes Florida. Well, Steffi, in the early going, the Gators are getting out and getting to the basket in a hurry.
So one thing with programs coming off of a pause in quarantine, as we take a look at Coach Flo, is she was eager to get out here and play in their starting five, as they are a little bit more limited with their roster coming into this game. But it's kind of rust versus rest. Auburn clearly is rested because they've had time off because they've been in quarantine, but will there be some rust? And Florida, coming off a game just a few days ago against Arkansas, they've been a well-oiled machine. I mean, they've been wheeling and dealing. They just haven't been able to win some games. So it looks like Florida really wants to jump out here early and get on Auburn.
And the Tigers getting a taste of their own medicine early with that full court pressure. Three-point attempt, long rebound, grabbed by Thompson. And a fresh 20 for the Tigers. Look inside, the spacing not there. Three-point try from Hughes. Long board, out of bounds. And it stays at this end of the floor with Thompson pursuing in strong effort her first game since December 20th. The Tigers just today got two of their scholarship players out of quarantine. So this week, Steffi, it's been not a lot of on-court time. They practiced Tuesday, got shut down Wednesday, got a 6 scholarship player practice yesterday, and then got on the plane before 9 o'clock Central this morning for about a 45-minute flight to play with a 1 o'clock tip-off in Gainesville.
It's just unreal what players have to go through this season, and coaches. There's Unique on the glass, what she does so well.
Off balance put back, doesn't fall for the forward, averaging 19 points, 15 rebounds. Three-pointer is good for Kiki Smith. And a timeout taken by Auburn as Florida has gotten out to a 7-0.
Played the best teams, and so he's looking to see where they can grow from some of the mistakes that they made. And where they can really move the needle forward. And so I think for Florida, it's just been consistency and good starts. And we're seeing that right now from the Gators. And to be expected, Auburn a little bit slow out of the gate. I mean, when you're in quarantine and you're taking time off, you can't get into flow defensively or offensively. So they're going to have to work some kinks out as the game goes on.
Briggs coming off that 41-point performance. Finds Smith on the dribble to Dute on the right block for 2. 9-0 Gators. Speaking to Coach Flo earlier this weekend, she said with so much time off, you get antsy. She was cleaning the house. She had her daughter set up ESPN Plus on the TV, had games going on the laptop, on her phone. And it's an unusual thing for college coaches who are usually always thinking about the next practice or the next game, and just to have nothing on the calendar is weird.
I do want to know if her daughter brought back the vacuum. It's been on my mind. Maybe it's just me. Coach Flo will have to get back to me.
We saw her daughter Maya leaving the house, had the vacuum, but you know what? It's, better than I was as a kid. I was asking for $20. Her daughter was going to clean somewhere else.
I needed the vacuum and the $20, so I don't know what that says about me.
Kiki Smith had the steal, has it knocked away as she hits the deck and quickly works herself back to an elevated position. The Gators out to a 9-0 lead here over Auburn, as the Tigers to start are 0 of 7 from the floor.
So Auburn really, their bread and butter is their defensive schemes, and it's either a 1-2-2 press or a 2-2-1 press. And because they're a little bit limited with their roster and practicing, we're not necessarily used to seeing that full court pressure. I mean, Auburn turns you over about 20 times and really does a good job with steals too, best in the conference. But so far right now, unable to stop the Gators' offensive rhythm.
Steffi, how does that impact you as a player, knowing that the team is shorthanded of playing that all-out defensive style like Auburn does?
If I was for Florida?
No, on defense as a Tiger.
Well, you know, you don't have fresh bodies coming in. So it's tough because if you're Coach Flo, you want everybody to play all out every possession, and it's kind of conserving your energy so you can go the full 40 depending on who's out there. You know, some players have to play over 30, 35 minutes a game for Auburn. So I think that it's difficult, and you know, talking to Coach Flo, she wanted the minimum players' bodies needed per game was to be 9 or 10. She knows that's her style, is to play at least 10 or 11 people, and it's just 7 that have to be eligible for a team to be able to play after a quarantine. There's Unique Thompson getting going offensively for Auburn, and she's a difference maker for the Tigers, Mike. You'll see she's one of the best post players in the country, and they desperately needed her back, as we talked about her not playing since late December. 49 career double-doubles. I mean, her numbers speak for themselves, but it's been her leadership, and she really is one of the most vocal players out there for Auburn. And for Coach Flo, she's almost an assistant coach out there, but they run their offense through her. And so she hasn't been back. She hasn't really been able to practice. So it's kind of like, how do we regain our identity offensively when we haven't had the reps? I think they just have to play through it. If you're a player, you just go out there, you want to compete, and you want to try and get into some sort of offensive rhythm eventually.
Strong drive to the basket from Morgan Robinson-Wagoo, getting her first start today. So we talked to Coach Neubauer this week as well, and his concern was how fresh Auburn might be. Unfounded, given the fact that they only got to practice twice in the last week, but he knows that the fighting spirit will be there against his team, with the Tigers 0-3 in the SEC, the Gators 0-5.
What has been interesting for teams that come off of a quarantine or a pause and how they'll perform. So there was a game, I think a week ago, where Tennessee went into quarantine and they had to play Arkansas with just one practice, and they beat Arkansas pretty bad. And you could say Arkansas is a rhythm team, and they came in not having sat out any games. They played the most of almost anyone in the country, and they got beat by Tennessee, who hadn't really practiced at all. So it's kind of been a mystery, and you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. You don't know how it's going to look, but it's all about competing, and that was Cam Neubauer's message to his team.
Briggs penetrates, finds Moore on the outside. She back rims it into the hands of Sanaya Wells. Honesty Scott Grayson, one of 9 available players today. Most notably, they're without Kira Lowry, as well as Elena Rice, 2 of their point guards this year. Smith, for the second time in about the first 5.5 minutes, with a breakaway layup.
I think what Kiki Smith has really elevated her game this year. She's become, such a two-way player and such a leader for them. And following that Arkansas loss, she really took it to heart and told the team, I've got to do a few things a little bit better. I've got to slow down and make, better decisions. And I think she's done a much better job to start this game of just letting the game come to her. But there's no question, she's a sniper on defense. I mean, she'll pick your pocket, and getting out in transition is really the name of her game. She's really good off the bounce, dribble penetrator. But I really like the conversation that she had with her teammates of just, I've got to slow down. She plays so fast, but making a few errors here and there can cost you. And so good reflection by the senior.
Good wall-up defense inside by Floor Tonders to force the travel and give it back to Florida. The native of the Netherlands, who aspires one day to be a neuroscientist.
Wow. Not something you see every day, Mike.
It's quite intimidating. She's only a college freshman, but I feel like she's probably already more academically qualified than I am. Smith works the outside. Shot clock is at 10. Tonders vying for the rebound. It ends up with Levy. Rather Hughes. No, a clear intent from the Tigers. This time, honesty, Scott Grayson, of trying to drive to the basket and earn their trips to the free throw line. Their field goal percentage as a team, just 39%, and only 27% from three, which is second to last in the league. So understandable the emphasis on the interior play. Scott Grayson tries the reverse on the baseline. It belongs to Briggs. Beautiful feed inside the layup. Doesn't go, but it's secured, and the Gators have a second chance opportunity. Count the bucket for Smith, and a chance for three.
Kiki Smith really getting out with a hot start. Almost completes the dime there. Her teammate misses the shot, but stays with it. Really good decision, pulls up and draws the foul. And I've really been impressed. We talk a lot about Lavender Briggs, but Kiki Smith is definitely the motor of this team. I mean, she runs the offense, gets herself to the free throw line, a lot of dribble penetrating. And she's worked really hard coming into the season to be in the position where she is, of almost 16 points a game and almost 4 assists, 2.5 steals. I mean, she's kind of lighting it up.
She's got half their points to start. Thompson missed it, resecured, and misfired a second time. Tigers are 1 of 12 from the floor. Jump ball underneath the basket as Tonders got tied up with Thompson.
Mike, what Florida has done a really good job with in the first quarter is, well, obviously they're shooting the ball really well and they've been efficient, but it's with the tempo that they've played with. They haven't really let Auburn dictate defensively what they're going to do offensively, which is what Auburn traditionally really does. I mean, like I said, forcing over 20 turnovers a game, getting nearly 13 steals. They usually will dictate what other teams can do offensively, but right now, Florida really jumped the gun and is doing what they want to do offensively.
Auburn forces yet another steal, best in the SEC in that category, and it leads to an easy transition bucket. And Steffi, like you said, the best offense that we've seen today, even as we talked about Kiki Smith telling her teammates she wants to play a little bit more deliberately, has been in the open floor and just trying to beat the other team to the bucket.
And right now, that's the best decision for her.
Barrett off the mark from the block as the Gators, with 2 minutes left in the opening quarter, have a 10-point lead over Auburn. A swipe on the drive. Chang with the takeaway, feeds Briggs, left side, no! The Gators are there for the team rebound. That time, long two, falls for Lavender Briggs, the sophomore standout.
Auburn offensively here, 90 seconds left in this first quarter. I think each possession you have to give Unique Thompson a look. Long three early in the shot clock, probably not what you're looking for.
Do you feel like to this point that they've given her enough touches in the post?
I think Unique Thompson can't get enough. I think you can go 1 to 2 times within a possession because she'll draw a double team, a triple team. Something's going to happen. Defenses are going to rotate. They respect her. I mean, she's obviously putting up the numbers and has always done that, so she deserves the respect. But what she's gotten better at, Mike, is she reposts. So she'll get her in position, and then you got to give it back to her because that's when she's going to really be able to do something after the defense shifts.
Auburn brings the pressure, the trap along midcourt, using the sideline as the third defender, and Thompson comes away with it. They feed Thompson. She turns and scores. Florida coming off a track meet-like game on Thursday in Fayetteville, 84-80. A loss against the Razorbacks. Three-pointer good. Yasmeen Chang, former Miami Hurricane. Today's game, you see well-tested from Florida against well-rested for Auburn. Rejection at the basket. Beautifully done by Ricards. And one more chance here. If the Gators want to hold, they don't. Briggs lets it go. And it's out of bounds. Florida ball.
Really good back screen by Unique Thompson, but Ricards, who's such a tough defensive player. I mean, Florida obviously has some great weapons offensively, but I love the way that Ricards gets in there and makes her presence felt, and she rebounds. I got a lot of love for rebounding guards.
Florida to close the opening quarter. Ricards finds her way into the lane. Loose ball and no shot attempt at the end of the first, but a dominant start for the Gators as they open up the big lead over Auburn. Two teams.
Kiki Smith.
And how about the selfless nature of the leaders of this Florida team? Lavender Briggs, the career-high 41 points in that Thursday loss against Arkansas. Her teammates were happy for her, but Coach Cam said that he got a text from her on Friday that said, "I'm really sorry we didn't win this one." He said even when she's on, she's thinking about the bigger picture, which is her team and a win.
Doesn't that just get right to your heart when you hear a player drops 41, everybody congratulating her on the game, but she wants to win. I think that's why she really has emerged as a star in this league, because, yeah, she can go out and score 30, 40 points. She wants W's.
Romy Levy with the bucket at the other end to pull Auburn within 11. Long rebound snared by Annie Hughes, the sophomore for Auburn. She takes it all the way, floats it up, around, and into the hands of the Gators. Ricards to the basket. She and Steffi an unusually high number of missed close-range shots. Although this time, with Thompson running the floor, it's a guarantee it's going in.
Especially in today's world, just that leadership and her kindness, sincerity, and generosity. And there's times where I'll just go on YouTube and just kind of look up her in the locker room or speeches she gave. It's just incredible, like the legacy and the impact that she really had on so many different people that she didn't probably even realize she had an impact on. I mean, she doesn't know this, but my sophomore year of college, I was in junior college, Mike, and she met my uncle on a plane. He was a big fan of hers, and she actually wrote me a letterhead. And she didn't know that the next year I would be playing against Tennessee and ended up winning against Pat. But still, you know, I'll keep that letter forever, that she took the time to write on an airplane to my uncle, and what an impact that had on my life.
What did that letter say?
It said, dream big and always go after your dreams. And simple, but I really did, because I ended up at Florida, and I swear to God, she, Unique Thompson here leading the Auburn offense. But when she walked out on the court, Mike, it was like unlike anything I had ever been a part of. It's still my greatest moment of my life, especially my playing career, is just when Pat Summitt walked out on the floor. And someone who's played basketball for the majority of their life, not everyone gets to be face-to-face with a legend. And I did. I got to do that, and that was part of my dream. Something that she wrote down innocently and gave it to my uncle, not knowing that I would actually live out that dream.
What was your primary emotion when the two of you were on the court at the same time?
I wanted to win. You know, that's why I think so many people looked up to Pat Summitt, idolized Pat Summitt, was that competitive fire. Didn't really seen that from many people, just how open she was about it, especially with women's college basketball and building the brand. And so I think it was more so like, wow, I can't believe this is real. Okay, now I want to win.
That's a really cool experience. And glad you shared it, glad you had that letter, because as we work from home today, I see you in your home office and her book sits on the shelf right behind you over your shoulder. Auburn in the quarter had gone on a 7-0 run, but Florida has responded. 26-17 the lead as Honesty Scott Grayson rises, and she'll go to the free throw line for 2. Coming off of their layoff of 10 days and only 2 practices in the last week, she's hoping for a repeat performance of her last outing, career high 23 against Ole Miss when they last played on the 7th. So a long wait at the stripe, chance to catch the breath for the transfer from Baylor. She played 29 games a couple of years ago. Have more great hoops for you, SEC Network Wednesday. It'll be Kentucky and Georgia, 7 Eastern, followed by Auburn and Arkansas, 9 Eastern on the SEC Network and anywhere you go on the ESPN app.
Auburn seems much more energized now, shooting at a much more efficient rate here in the second quarter, 4 for 5 from the floor. And you'll see their defense ramp up a little bit more because off of those makes, they're able to get into their full court pressure. When you're not hitting, you can't set up the press. And here's some more active hands.
Scott Grayson onto the table. When we talked to Coach Flo this week, that was one of the big parts that she talked about, was people being good at defending that backline pass, the diagonal pass, and that was a good example right there. Shot clock is at 5. Gators got to get a shot, and they do. That touched every part of the rim and fell for Danielle Rainey. Not able to get the ball inside. The steal near midcourt. And the layup for Kiki Smith. What a day she's having.
Just setting the tone for them defensively. And Morgan Robinson-Magoo just having such a difficult time handling the ball against Kiki Smith's pressure.
So Levy with the missed 3. Thompson had the rebound and appears she got hit on the shot attempt at close range.
Ooh.
Yeah, that Thompson,
Unique's
6 points, 4 rebounds as she takes a seat, and that does change their look offensively, Steffi.
And a player that's really stepped up in her absence has been Honesty Scott Grayson. And she started to heat up here in the second quarter, but somebody that I really liked that's transferred in is Jayla Jordan, 14 in Navy for Auburn. And she's that long, lengthy player. She's playing the back line of their zone right now. I think she's got to be more efficient from the floor, but making an impact defensively as well with Unique on the bench.
The former West Virginia Mountaineer anchoring the middle of that defense around the basket. Good look from 3 for Lavender Briggs. Florida is up 33-19 midway through the second quarter. Jayla Jordan, 14 in blue, who you saw sat last year after she played 26 games her freshman season in Morgantown, West Virginia. Duke touched that one last. It stays with the Tigers.
Coach Flo has certainly challenged her to to play better here in conference play, as things have really, intensity-wise, physicality-wise, have certainly increased. She's got Faith Dude on her right now. But I think she's a player that's very capable, especially in Coach Flo's system. She's just got that long, lengthy, athletic body and build that Coach Flo really likes.
Briggs, deterred from the baseline, spins into the lane, and it belongs to Jordan. Auburn shooting 23% as Florida has started hot and stayed that way. Still 50% from the floor for the Gators. Hughes off the hesitation dribble, floats it up. Here comes Smith. Ahead for Briggs.
Got to complete that, Mike. I mean, that's where you turn the corner for Florida. You're open in transition. You don't make the first, you don't make the second. Cam Neubauer has talked about it's the little things. It's some mental lapses here and there. It's lack of execution for 2 possessions, and that accumulates. They saw that in their first few games to start SEC play against the best teams. And now they're hitting a stretch, done a much better job this season and being so efficient from the floor. Numbers are up. She's not taking a lot of bad shots. I mean, her shots are good. And Dungy, Howard, and Walker are all upperclassmen, all seasoned vets.
We'll see Ryan Howard later on today as Vanderbilt takes on number 12 Kentucky. That's a 5 Eastern tip here on SEC Network with Eric Freed and Christy Tomaschetti bringing you the action.
Jump ball, Auburn basketball on the alternating possession.
Auburn gets it on the jump ball, down by 14 with 3:20 to go in the second quarter.
Substitution for the Tigers, number 23, Honesty Scott Grayson.
Morgan Robinson Wagu, the injured player along the sideline for Auburn. Catherine Gordon, the athletic trainer, over to try and help her back to good health. Oh, and it appeared she got clipped by the elbow of Briggs. That's the second time in just the last few minutes where an Auburn player has taken an inadvertent elbow. First it was Thompson, and this time Robinson Wagu. And it's already a shorthanded Tigers squad today with just 9 players available. That includes the walk-on Carson McFadden, who's only seen action in 5 games, as COVID-19 protocols have limited severely the active roster for the Tigers, who yesterday practiced with only 6 scholarship players and traveled over this morning because 2 players came out of quarantine today.
And Coach Flo was talking to us, as everybody has been talking about, obviously, the COVID protocols and contract tracing, but also the results of injuries, having sat out and not really able to practice and kind of be in a certain, at this point, you want to be in a certain condition. And certainly a complex year, Mike, to say the least.
It'll be one that we'd like to forget for a lot of people, but we won't be able to for quite some time, because this will be a year for the record books in college basketball. Hughes short off the front rim. And a quick trap comes from Auburn with the pressure defense, even with the limited roster. Terry Williams-Floyd said, somewhat tongue-in-cheek with the short bench today, everybody who's ever asked me for more playing time, well, guess what? You're getting it today. Florida's second chance opportunity. It'll be at least 3 shot attempts. Tonders looking for the post up. The lefty layup try from Moore. The native Australian is short. Wells with a post feed inside. Who else? Kiki Smith on the breakaway for 2.
Open court, utilizing her speed is the strength for the senior. And good decision making. Really impressed by what she was able to take away from Arkansas, where she could make some adjustments. And we're seeing that play out in this first half.
Smith, the team leader in steals with 4 on the afternoon, and almost a full third of Florida's points. 12 out of their 35 have come in fast break opportunities. One more pass. Almost had the 3 for Chang, who's hit from deep one time. Post touch for Thompson, although farther outside the lane than she'd probably like. She gets fouled on a strong drive to the middle of the lane.
Foul number 14, Christina Moore, that's her second. Team Moore. Substitution for the Tigers, number 11, 11. At the line for Auburn,
Thompson 78% from the line as their second leading scorer. Honesty Scott Grayson heads to the bench. 1:11 left before halftime at the O-Dome in Gainesville, Florida. On this Thursday, a great doubleheader for you. It's Georgia off to their best start in 3 years, taking on the behemoth that is Dawn Staley's South Carolina Gamecocks, 6:30 Eastern, and then Kentucky Auburn, 8:30 Eastern. Both games here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Steffi, you talk about how Florida has had one of the difficult schedules to start. Kentucky has as well. 4 straight top 15 teams for them. 2 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah, Kentucky certainly has been challenged to start SEC play. Probably learned a little bit about themselves and just how capable they were. I mean, Ryan Howard in the conversation for National Player of the Year. Got Kara Elzy, a Pat Summitt player, at her first year when she took over the job when Matthew Mitchell retired earlier. And that's a tough stretch to enter as a first-time head coach in the way that they've had to start conference play against, top 5 teams in South Carolina. So take a look
Arkansas,
at the SEC standings.
Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and South Carolina to open things up for Kentucky. But, they're going to take on Auburn Thursday. That was a great game last year. Auburn was down 20. They tied it in the 4th. It was within 2 points in the final minute. The Wildcats ended up winning by 7. It's been a double-digit lead in the first half for a good chunk of this one for Florida. Auburn looking to get a good shot here. Hughes from the corner. The 3 won't go. It'll have to be quick for the Gators. Smith to end the half. No good. And it's a 14-point lead into the lock.
Efficient from the floor. You got to get her more touches. And we saw some tips and steals for Auburn that led to runouts. I think they've got to get better with their press, but it starts with making shots, and that's with Unique Thompson getting her the ball.
Thompson comes away with the steal on the post feed intended for Faith Duke. A couple of players who have touched the ball here to start. Morgan Robinson-Wagu and Unique Thompson took inadvertent elbows, sat a little bit in the first half on a day where the Auburn roster is shorthanded. They're down to just 9 players today without their 2 primary ball handlers, Lowry and Rice, who have started at that spot this year. And so they practiced yesterday for just the second time in the span of a week with only 6 scholarship players. They had 2 players come out of quarantine today. They took a flight this morning to get to Gainesville. Fortunately, it's less than an hour in the air. And so unusual circumstances in an unusual year. Briggs for Smith. Her 3 goes well wide. Thompson missed it, but it's out of bounds off of Dude. Auburn keeps it.
But still a good possession for the Auburn Tigers to start this third quarter. You push the tempo, you make Florida get back and play transition defense, and Unique Thompson gets a touch, and good things are going to happen.
On the message this week from Coach Flo was to emphasize the positives. She told us she started at the beginning of this season working with a life coach, knowing that it was going to be a difficult year for the program, a bit of a rebuilding year. They're 5-6, both teams looking for their first win in conference play, but they had a staff Zoom meeting on Friday to make sure that the messaging was the same from coaches to players to say, look, even though we haven't practiced, we have unusual travel circumstances. Let's hype the positive, and Unique Thompson has been their biggest positive today.
I really like the fact that she shared that with us and getting a life coach. I think everybody could benefit from having a coach, somebody important in your life that you can just kind of talk through things, and especially as a head coach battling through all of the different things that are being thrown your way. And Unique, again, one of the best rebounders in the country. 15 a game, okay? But her pursuit of getting the ball. She's not necessarily the tallest player, fastest, bigger, strong. She goes and gets it, and that's what really makes her different in terms of rebounding. She doesn't just let it come get her.
She steps up, but just a little bit too late to try and stop Smith, who's got 16 points, chasing a career high of 27. She said earlier this season. Miscommunication as that goes out of bounds. And with this year and having to understand all of the complex emotions that everybody's going through, whether coach or player, Coach Newbarrow said about his vulnerability and opening up to his team. He broke down in front of his team last week because he said, look, I'm 42 years old. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3. And we got to hear from his kids on our conference call this week as they were on their way to Chick-fil-A, which is a great way to spend part of your day if you're hungry. But he said, I'm at 42. I'm the type of person you're supposed to look up to who's got it all figured out. I don't. So I don't blame you as college players who are going through this if you don't have it figured out every day either.
Been really impressed with Cam Newbauer's authenticity this season and the things that he shared on Zoom calls just about not knowing it all and just kind of shutting up and listening to his players. And he's got 3 daughters, Chloe, Millie, and Charlie, who we heard very loudly in the car as he was going to get them lunch. He took them to practice. His wife's out of town, and he's pushing Charlie in the stroller during practice. And so I think the players, there's a certain level of love that you start to garner for your coach when you see him raising 3 young girls. And then also he's not afraid to say, look, I don't understand. Help me understand. And I think this has been a really good learning experience for a lot of people. But to share it openly with people who are inquiring it like you and I during a Zoom call, he's been really transparent.
What I love about that is that it creates connection. Foul on the way up on the take by Tonders, the freshman. Because who do we connect with the most? It's the people who reveal their true selves to us. You can't put up a shell and expect to have genuine connection with people. And as we talked about Coach Summit and the impact she had on players' lives, it's because part of that was encouraging people to be their best version of themselves. And by showing who you are emotionally, spiritually, whatever that might be, you get to know each other and understand the best version of yourself.
And, Pat Summit would always say she's in the relationship business, not necessarily the coaching business. I mean, she was always formulating relationships with her players, family members, you name it, community. And then you see coaches kind of carrying it on, maybe not even knowing that that was just part of the legacy of Pat Summit and what led her to be such a successful coach.
Smith secures it. Shot clock reset to 20 on the offensive rebound for Florida. Already a double-double for Kiki Smith, 16 and 12. Briggs, pull up from 15, no good. And Steffi, you see the impact that Coach Summit has even currently on the SEC with those three coaches and Carolina.
Was such a pioneer for what she was able to do on and off the court. And I can't imagine like what it was like to play for her. You know, the impact that she had on so many people who didn't, but to be able to sit in her practices and be coached by her, you're going to be much different, better on and off the court from it.
It's a frenetic Auburn offensive possession. Thompson missed the elbow jumper. The Gators a little bit discombobulated coming back down there under the floor. The defense from Florida has been solid this afternoon, holding the Tigers under 20% from the floor. Three-pointer, Briggs cashes in.
Cam Neubauer pleading with his team to run their offense, and it's really just simple ball movement, finding Auburn a little bit slow to rotate in their zone. Sets up Lavender Briggs for the three. And you'd be surprised, Mike, just moving without the basketball, especially as somebody, as a former shooter, how many shots you would get if you would just move when the ball isn't in your hands to an open spot. You'll get a good look. People don't want to move and guard. They really don't. They want to stand there. And Lavender Briggs, just a quick cut along the perimeter, opens up an easy bucket opportunity for her.
Steffi, did you just retire yourself from basketball? You said former.
Why are you going to out me like that, man? I'm rolling on a decade of graduating. I'm so old now. In fact, watching the old Pat videos, because I graduated in 2010, so right on the way of Pat being diagnosed in 2011. So those players that she was coaching up were the people that I was playing against and losing against. It just brings back good memories, though.
And then you really start to feel old when you cross age 30 and suddenly you slept wrong and your neck hurts for a week. Then you really... Kiki Smith leading with 16.
I think the key, too, for Florida moving forward as they throw a little full-court pressure against Auburn is finding a consistent third score, because Kiki Smith and Lavender Briggs will do the bulk of the scoring, and they really did against Arkansas. I'm pretty sure they scored over 60-something of their 80 points. So I think for Florida, they just need a consistent third, fourth scorer who's going to give you maybe 8 to 10 to help balance this Gators team out as Auburn hits the three.
And that's just the second made three of the afternoon for Auburn. They're 2 of 14 from deep, with Hughes getting her first 3 points of the day. Former Alabama missed basketball in 2019 in the first in a decade and a half, almost, to end up playing for the Tigers. Long try, that falls for Robinson Wagu, getting her first start in career game number 38 at Auburn.
Well, Florida switched to a zone there on that possession and just didn't communicate. And that's going to lead to a little bit of a transition for the Auburn Tigers. This is the style that they want to see.
It's the pressure that creates the quick and easy baskets there for Thompson. All of a sudden, a 10-point game as the Gators have somewhat struggled to get that ball across half court, and they settle things here with Ricards.
Substitution for the Gators, number 1, Kiki Smith.
A matter of centimeters, appears as though that last shot that went through will remain a three-pointer. Shot clock is down to 6. Offensive board, Ricards. He takes it out. And a foul called on the drive by Ricards.
I think Ricards can be that third player for Florida that can really give them some boost. a boost offensively. I mean, she does a great job on the glass. She leads them in rebounding. She's got a lot of heart and hustle to her. But because teams are going to key in on Kiki Smith, they're going to try and slow her down. And Lavender Briggs can get 30-40, but you need somebody else to help balance you. Kiki's having herself a day, Mike. What do you think?
Pretty big, 18 points. Yeah, already 4 here in the second half. And, you know, she scored at least 10 in all but one game, so keeps that streak alive. And like you, a player who coming to the Division I level was at the junior college level before that. And what was that like for you as you made that jump? You started out at Florida Gulf Coast, went to junior college, then came to Florida to have that opportunity to really step up to the highest level of college basketball.
See, people don't realize, like, I created the transfer portal. Like, I was doing that before it became cool, okay? So I went to 3 schools in 4 years, but my journey was just a little bit different. But the time that I spent in junior college was actually really interesting because I had teammates from all over the country and from all walks of life, and I think that we had the most fun. And more importantly, you know, we had some athletic, competitive people. And I don't know if you ever heard of Chipola Community College, but we played them in the state tournament, and I think all 5 of their starters went Power 5s. So you see a lot of really tough, physical, athletic kids in junior college, and you know, it's just sometimes a stepping stone for some people to get to a bigger place. I will say less media pressure than when I got to Florida, which was fun.
Yeah, was that a big adjustment too?
Oh, I mean, Mike, we were taking a bus in junior college to games, eating, you know, fast food for pregame, and I went to Florida. We're flying private, and we've got meals on the meals on the plane. So it was just night and day for me. I mean, Florida was my dream school. I ended up being there, and you know, it's just a once in a lifetime experience for me. And why I always talk about student athletes, you know, and what they get as being a student athlete. I got to live my dream, and that's the ultimate goal for me. And I think for some players, too, that don't always get to go pro.
And it's great now that as you've gotten into commentary, your life has really stayed the same. Still flying private, which is really impressive for you.
Yeah. Private planes, you name it. I didn't even do my own makeup.
Who knew the at-home setup would be so beneficial? Here's Thompson double teamed in the post. Auburn with quick ball movement, and the layup doesn't drop for Wells. Second chance opportunity, no. Scoop by Mary.
Again, Ricards, who is a really good three-point shooter for the Florida Gators, finds an open spot, and that's how you beat a zone. If they're slow to rotate in the gaps, you just got to find the gaps, have teammates with their heads up looking to make plays. And that was such a good point Cameron Neubauer made when we were talking to him about what separates the really elite teams, elite players in this league is you can make plays, but elite ones go and find plays. And I think that was really telling when we're talking about Lavender Briggs and some of the teams that they have played to start SEC play, and what really makes the difference is those players go and find those plays and then make them.
Feed in traffic to Duke. She gets it to go, the sophomore from Vancouver, British Columbia. From the corner, a load up. Hughes looking for her second triple. Another try from deep. 3-point attempts have not dropped today for Auburn, a team that comes in second to last in the SEC in three-point shooting.
Florida looks to get Lavender Briggs the ball out of these sets here.
Contact on the drive, and Merritt, a very promising freshman, highest ranked recruit to sign with Florida in the last 7 years, drops it in. Gators up 16, and the last shot of the quarter falls home. Honesty Scott Grayson rattles in the long jumper. Things and deliver food. Those people are really putting in a lot of work that goes under the radar in college basketball.
So many unsung heroes that keep programs afloat, and Dobos this season have been that and then some. Let's get them all some gifts, some massages. I think Coach Flo said she got her staff for Christmas. Coach Flo, I'll wait for mine.
Well, you know what? With as many packages come to the front door these days, I'll settle for a Theragun, too.
I've got one of those. Hey, my neck still hurts, but slept wrong.
Largest lead of the day was 18 points for Florida. Auburn has trimmed it to 12. For the game, still, they've not shot, for the most part, north of 25%. They're at 24% right now. The Gators earlier in the half were at about 50%, 39%. And we'll see how much here in the fourth. Auburn still tries to feed the post to get it into Unique Thompson, who's got 12 points, 11 rebounds. Yet another double-double, the nation's active career leader. Hey, take an assist, too, as she finds Annie Hughes.
Again, moving without the basketball, you know Unique Thompson's going to draw a double team every single time she gets the ball. Heads-up play by Annie Hughes to just cut to the basket. Because Thompson is a really good passer as well out of those double teams. She's used to them.
Thompson walls up, forces the miss, and grabs the rebound. Hughes quickly got down the floor. Levy, one dribble pull-up. 15 feet and in, a real great spot for her to score. Duke driving.
Okay.
Extending her range a little bit, huh?
Faith Duke's got some spice to her. You got spice to you, Mike? Old cayenne?
Maybe a little chili powder, yeah. Cumin, paprika. Smoked paprika,
Not
absolutely.
so hot, okay.
That's in everything. Gators by 12, and the foul on Levy.
Faith Duke just off the bounce, creating her own shot. And this is a 6'4" sophomore, and we've seen the game grow now. We're tall players, 6'4", 6'5", 6'7", but their mobility and their ability more so with the basketball has just gotten better and better every single year. We're seeing, Mike, you've seen highlights of Fran Bibby at Stanford dunking in transition. I mean, it's just, we're in a different time. Post players can do more than just back to the basket. That's why Unique Thompson is so unique to me, is because she's kind of that old school player. I mean, she's very much like that, and there's not very many like that anymore. As Coach Flo was saying, every post player wants to shoot threes.
Yeah, Steffi, one of the highlights of my basketball watching career, I say that because my playing career was so underwhelming, was watching Fran Belibi at the Powerade Jam Fest before she started her college career, going in for a dunk with a cape on, and you knew at that point, not that if you didn't already, but that she is a really talented special player.
Yes, Stanford is loaded, #1 right now in the country, and I've loved watching Fran just with ease transition dunks, and nobody really bats an eye anymore. That's the best part as someone who played the game, is it's really not that big of a deal. It's kind of just like, oh, okay, a little dunk in transition, whatever. But it's still eye-opening.
The SEC with 6 teams in the top 25. South Carolina preseason #1 at #5. Texas A&M also in the top 10 at #7, with Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Tennessee also in the AP top 25 right now out of the SEC, with Georgia and Alabama also getting some votes as well. And you got a great top 20 matchup, Steffi, tomorrow night, ESPN2, with Arkansas and South Carolina.
No doubt about it. This is Arkansas and Mike Neighbors' most talented team he's had since he's been at Arkansas. Love to play up tempo. Don't have necessarily a lot of post players. They run 5 out, and then you go up against South Carolina, who's got one of the best centers in the game, in Aaliyah Boston at 6'5". So a little bit different styles. So that's going to be a really fun matchup to watch. The SEC this season in conference play has been very entertaining. Lots of upsets, but if you ask any coach, it's not an upset because there's a lot of competition, very competitive teams within this league.
Contact on the drive, second effort, doesn't go for Briggs. That ball tumbles away. The Gators keep possession, 6.5 to go in regulation. And after we're done here, it'll be Ole Miss and Georgia on SEC Network. Georgia trying to make it 4 straight wins after their come-from-behind win against Tennessee on Thursday. Their only loss by just 7 to Mississippi State. And then Vanderbilt and Kentucky get going at 5 Eastern here on SEC Network. Christina Moore, the Australian native, also on the track and field team. Discus thrower at the line. Wednesday on SEC Network, the ESPN app, it'll be Kentucky, Georgia, 7 Eastern, the start of a doubleheader. And then the Tigers and the Razorbacks at 9 Eastern, SEC Network, and in your pocket on the ESPN app.
Substitution for the Tigers for 23, Honesty Scott Grayson.
Steffi, with 6.5 to go, this is the point in the game where, as you said a couple hours ago, you might start to see a lag with conditioning. Auburn only having practiced twice this week. Has that become evident to you or no?
A little bit in terms of in the first half. I thought Auburn looked a little rusty and just not and their chemistry was a little bit off, Mike, but I think as the game has gone on, their defense has gotten better. And I think that their offense, they're starting to click a little bit more. And good sign here is Morgan Robinson-Wagyu getting herself to the free throw line. But I think with 6 minutes left to go, you say it's time to go all out. Let's really get after it defensively. Let's get some tips and some steals, because Auburn can score in bunches because it gets so many points off their defense. So Florida's got to do a really good job of staying away from trap zones, especially when you cross half court, and picking up your dribble, but just taking care of the basketball with 6 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter. Again, both teams have not won in conference play yet, so both are eager.
Yep, Auburn 0-3. Having not played in 10 days in Florida, facing 4 top 25 teams in their first 5 conference games. Back-to-back trips down the floor with hard-charging drives to the basket. This time, Honesty Scott Grayson has Auburn back within 9. Tie up along the sideline, another turnover in the open court. 4 straight points for Scott Grayson and a timeout, a 7-point game.
It's the difference is Florida turning the ball over 3 times to start this fourth quarter, and it's led to a total re-energized Auburn team, scoring on the offensive side of the floor, getting easy points off tips and steals. Florida now has to play much more composed.
That's a big bucket to answer the pressure from Nina Rickards. Makes it a 10-point game. Auburn nearly gave it away. Foul is on the floor against Christina Moore. The uphill climb for Auburn. They won the third quarter today. Glad to have you along with us. The Gators and the Tigers inside the O-Dome in Gainesville. A 10-point game. Florida has led by as many as 18. Auburn cut it to 7 with 5:27 to go here in this quarter and trying to narrow that gap even further down the stretch. Foul is on Florida. That goes against Jordan Merritt. And 5th team foul against Florida. Crucial with 4:28 to go, as the best way for Auburn perhaps to make a comeback in this one is with the clock stopped. Scott Grayson recovers off the tip into the backcourt. Robinson Wagoo from the corner. No. Another Auburn steal. They've got the advantage. And Scott Grayson takes the tumble to the floor and the walk to the free throw line.
You saw this play coming a mile away. Honesty, Scott Grayson almost like a DB sitting back there waiting to pick off the Florida pass, and that's what makes Auburn's defense so great is reading and moving on the fly to the ball, as Scott Grayson has definitely had a much better second half to combine with what Unique's production has been. She's their steady Eddie, you know, they're double-double, but honestly, Scott Grayson is a player certainly capable of getting into double figures more consistently. Talking to Coach Flo about her game is just heading into conference, she was kind of forcing a little bit. She had to just slow down and just let the game come to her, and we've seen her making better decisions here in this second half of when to go to the rim, when to take an open shot. But Auburn just hanging in this game.
Showing their 2-2-1 pressure here. Settle back into the half-court defense. But part of the effect of that is it takes 10 seconds off the shot clock before the Gators can get it into the front court, get their offense going. So now time to scramble with just 4 to shoot. Smith into 2 defenders, and a blocking foul will send her to the line.
Scott Grayson didn't quite get there for Kiki Smith, but Annie Hughes slow to close out, and a player like Kiki Smith, you almost want to chop your feet a little bit, give her that open jumper first before you let her have a lane to the basket, because she's so effective at getting to the rim.
Is that how you would guard her one-on-one, sink off a little bit?
I would let her shoot the 3 first. I would want her to hit 1 or 2, and then I would adjust. And it kind of goes back to, and a lot of coaches across the board have said this, with a quick turnaround, not sure if we're going to play or not, and then you've got 1 day to practice, know the scout, and that's a scouting thing. And have your team all on board and be able to execute what you're asking them to in just 2.5 hours of practice.
Florida escapes the trap. It's been more than a handful of times where a Gator ball handler has dribbled toward the sideline and into that double team from Auburn. The pressure yields another whistle. Scott Grayson goes down and gets called for the foul. But this is the point of the game. Less than 3 minutes to go. Down by 8. They've got to be that aggressive. Just the 4th foul against Auburn. Florida with 5 personals. Smith and Briggs handle outside the arc. Ricards, the look inside for Duke. Right block. That's good.
Nice unselfish play by the Gators, just moving the ball around, finding the open teammate. Not complicated.
For Auburn, Honesty Scott Grayson has had their last 8. A chance for Unique Thompson She grabbed the offensive board. 16-foot jumper, no good. Thompson has it taken away. 3-on-2 for Florida. On the break, Briggs slows down. 10-point lead, Gators. From the right block, Merritt. Too much on it. She goes down. And a foul is called.
Got to be a foul somewhere. A lot of bodies flying.
As you went to the ground, my mind started wondering that there wasn't an instant whistle. Would it be a traveling call? But it is an Auburn foul.
I think it was a hug that drew the whistle by Thompson.
Very euphemistically stated by you, Steffi.
Thank you, Mike. First time working together. We're having a good time here.
This has been a lot of fun, and just the first of 3 women's hoops games to come your way today on SEC Network. 3 Eastern, Ole Miss in Georgia, and Vanderbilt, Kentucky at 5 Eastern. Merritt gets those free throws. She's a very promising young player for Coach Newbarrow's team.
I think there's got to be a lot of upside at 6'3". Her ability to stretch the floor but also get to the rim, and the size and the length, that's the trend that's coming, and it's kind of already here on the women's side of 6'3", 6'4", 6'2" wings. I mean, it used to be like 5'8", 5'9", but some of these elite teams now have over 6'3" perimeter players.
Smith, foot still on the accelerator. She continues her big day. .22 for Smith, and that's her 4th game of 20 or more this year. So after Lavender Briggs had 41 against Arkansas on Thursday, 16 today, no slouch, but Smith, right from the get-go, has been the best player on the floor this afternoon.
Yeah, Kiki Smith in transition is about as good as the decision as you were in sleep. She's hurt.
And today was a day where they were already short their primary ball handlers, 2 of them, with Morgan Robinson-Wagu getting her first career start, taking over at that 1 spot, and just 9 players overall, including a walk-on available for Coach Williams-Flanoy. So Auburn on track to fall to 0-4 in SEC play, and Florida will get its first SEC victory of the season with just a minute to play to improve to 1-5. Ricards has got it. Just 8 seconds left on the shot clock. See what Briggs can do. The long 2. There are few better sounds in the world than a ball that does not hit the rim.
Briggs is the player you want to hit that shot with the shot clock winding down. Something we've got to talk about, Mike, before this game wraps up is the fact that Florida only turned it over 12 times and Auburn turns you over almost 21 times. So they did a good job of really just taking care of the basketball, because that's what really keeps Auburn in games and wins them games. So hats off to the Gators for really valuing the basketball.
Florida 68, Auburn at 54. The Gators are now 8-6 on the season, 1-5 in the SEC. They were well tested